All right, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This week we are going over chapters 23 to 27 of The Well of Ascension, and I believe this is the last set of chapters of part 2. Next week we'll be starting part 3 of the book. Just a little heads up, Darkness may have some background noise, because unfortunately we're not doing this on our normal day. It's just going to be for today. Just deal with it. Too bad. We want Darkness here, so we're making do, right, Darkness?
Yeah.
So I'm Midnight. I'm here with Mythic
Hello.
and Darkness.
Hello.
And yeah, we're gonna start off with chapter 23, which, as I said, these chapters, starting with I think one or two of the last week's chapters, are just now statements about the hero of ages. So this one is, the Terrace rejected him, but he came to lead them. So why do you think the Terrace would reject someone?
I mean, there could be many reasons, but
Maybe it betrayed their whatever religious aspect they have. Cause I had this theory going on that their religious stuff was like a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, it could be a lot of things. Maybe they, I don't know. Maybe they killed somebody that wasn't supposed to be killed. I don't know.
Yeah.
They held it against him because he did say he did like a bunch of shit that he didn't like. People that he had to fight and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's our epilogue. Very short. I think a bunch of them are going to be short for the next couple.
Yep.
So we start this chapter with Ellen listening to Sazed explain Jastes Leckel's army of Kolos. So Ellen believes that the 20,000 Kolos is likely to be more dangerous than Straff's 50,000 men. The crew are all also in the kitchen where the discussion is taking place. Spook is the only one not sitting at the table as everyone else. Instead, he's flirting unsuccessfully with one of the kitchen girls. Because of course he is.
Unsuccessfully.
Yeah, unsuccessfully. Ellen asks Sazed how Lord Leckel controls the Kolos, but Sazed doesn't know. It's also mentioned how within a day of the Lord Ruler dying, all the Kolos started rampaging. Set got some under control for a time, but then they attacked his army and he lost 2,000 men trying to kill just 500 Kolos. The group notes that Lord Leckel is likely waiting to get closer, as an army of Kolos may cause Set and Straff to join forces against it. So what do you think about how dangerous these Kolos are?
Well,
Supernatural.
to be fair, we kind of had a feeling they were super dangerous. So.
Yeah, just kind of confirmed exactly how dangerous they are here.
Do we know what perspective the first part of the thing was in?
The epigraph, you mean?
Yeah.
I can go through the last few epigraphs if you want.
Because it's that I don't remember. I don't remember quite clearly, but right there it says him. So I don't know if it's him as in the speaker or him as in the subject of the prophecy.
Yeah, so basically, him discussing these facts starts with the chapter 20 epigraph, which states, "It wasn't until a few years later that I began to notice the signs. I knew the prophecies. I am a Terrace worldbringer after all. And yet not all of us are religious men. Some, such as myself, are more interested in other topics. However, during my time with Alendi, I cannot help but become more interested in the anticipation. He seemed to fit the signs so well." And then it gives the signs, which are, he was born of a humble family, yet married the daughter of a king. He would trade words with the finest philosophers and had an impressive memory, nearly as good as my own, yet he was not argumentative. And then the one we just read, which is, the Terrace rejected him, but yet he came to lead them. So this is Quan discussing the signs that were in the prophecies that said, which is why he's like, oh, Alendi's the hero of ages, because he fits these signs from the prophecies. I feel like Darkness is brewing a theory here.
Probably.
I am.
Yeah. All right. Where was it? So, yeah. Any more thoughts about the Kolos, or should I continue?
Keep going.
Okay. It's briefly mentioned that the meeting with Straff has been set for a few days from now, and that the assembly wasn't happy Ellen hadn't consulted them. The topic then moves on to Sazed mentioning the mists. Ham thinks that it's just fog because it's autumn, but Sazed says mist and fog are different. Then explains that the mists are thicker and move in larger patterns like a river. It also evaporates as soon as it enters a building or tent. So what are your thoughts on that? How the mist moves in these large patterns, is thick, and it evaporates as soon as it enters any sort of structure.
Vampires.
It can't enter a building without permission. Do you have any thoughts on the mist darkness?
I'm just trying to figure out how it all ties in, considering the fact that they're also coming earlier.
Yeah. So it said
Yeah,
Sorry.
vampire seems about right though. You know?
Told you.
So the mist is just a vampire. Good to know.
Mhm,
Or a large
mhm,
group of vampires. Who knows?
mhm, mhm. I
So
mean,
it
it
said,
does. It sucks the life force out of people. So yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So it said
Good
noted
vampire.
that Sazed hadn't eaten yet, even though he hasn't eaten all day. Finn says Sazed doesn't have to be a servant anymore, and he says it's about politeness, not serving. Ellen then insists that Sazed is among friends and to eat. So as Sazed begins to eat, he goes back to back to talk about his investigation of the Mists, and tells them that they have been killing people. Breeze thinks that's impossible, but Sazed insists he has gathered witness statements about the Mists curling around people and causing seizures. He says that he believes it's related to the Lord Ruler, and that the Mist deaths seem to be moving inwards from the outer dominances. So that was a question I believe you had Mythic previously, is did we know where the Mists were coming from? So they're apparently all on the edges around the Final Empire, moving inwards towards Luthadel. Because Luthadell's in the center.
So tells the Senate,
yeah.
But what edge did it start from?
As far as you can tell, all the edges at once. Like it's like basically like a giant circle surrounding the Final Empire.
Think about it like Darkness. Think about it like Fortnite or all these battle royales or whatever.
Yeah.
The fog that's just slowly moving in until
Yeah.
it's a small circle. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of too when.
Yeah, so that's basically what's happening. Is it's like closing in. So I'm assuming the farther you get out, the later the mist is staying.
Yeah, and then if you go all the way out, the mist is just there.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, that would make a Mistborn battle royale so fucking fun.
I mean, Kelsier is in Fortnite.
I do have a small theory for this.
All right.
A small one?
I'm excited to hear it.
I don't know why, but I still wanted to have like stuff to do with the mounts, you know, like the ash mounts. And I kind of went back to the maps just to see the layout and everything.
Yeah.
And like the center is just like there's like ash mounts everywhere, you know, like all around it and stuff.
Yeah, there's there's basically like a circle of ash mounts around like kind of area. Yeah, 9, 10, 11.
Sorry.
12.
Yeah, I had to step away for a second, but yeah. So my theory there was that like, you know, like it's surrounded and it's like a circle, like, you know, and then there's that center one. So I'm assuming like I don't know, what if like that, you know, pool of water near the well of Ascension or whatever was connected through rivers and stuff, right? Following the path to the ash mounts. And then whatever happens between the river and the ash mounts, that's where like the mist and like all the ash is coming from, right?
I am gonna say, unfortunately, there is at least one ash mount that doesn't seem anywhere near a river.
Theory broken.
I'm sorry to
I
tell
don't
you.
see that one.
So if you go to the bigger map, not the small one, I think it's technically number 11 on the smaller map, but the Fall East ash mount is decently far from any butter. It's kind of near a lake, but that lake doesn't seem connected to any rivers. And even calling ash mount is a fair distance from a river. Apologies if that breaks your theory.
No, it's just hard.
That's just a theory.
Because in this other map, I see the same Calling Mountain and stuff. It's still near a river and stuff.
It is, but I mean, remember the scale. Like, it's kind of, but it's if you consider the scale, it's like decently far.
Yeah, but I'm assuming since you're like, nah, this ain't it. I was just, you know.
I was just looking at the map, and I was curious if you were right about all of the ash mounts being near rivers. There's definitely a good number of them. It could still be a theory, just not every ash mount is connected to them.
Yeah, I was just wondering because even in like maps today, they don't always show how the rivers flow through stuff. So
just a theory, a game theory,
a book theory.
I don't know, but it just, I mean, the way they're like splayed out like that, it makes me feel like it should have something to do with it. You know?
They are in an interesting circle around, mostly around this lake, but also Luthadel's kind of like close to the lake. So kind of around Luthadel at the same time.
Yeah, and it's approaching from the edges, so...
Yeah, so it's approaching from, like, the complete outside of the map. So, like, from, like, the ocean and, like, what's it called? The Crescent Dominance is outside of the Final Empire. And the Terrace Dominance. Like places like that. It's like encroaching from like a circle from the outside. I don't know how far in it is at this point. I mean, we know it's at least, what was that city called that he'd been to? Was it Urlach? Or Urban, he's definitely been to, I believe. So it's at least a little bit in from the border of the final empire.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to send that map again for Mythic just so he can review it, since we've been talking about it for a bit now.
Oh, I can just live in the dark. It's okay.
I think he sent it in the past, but it's been quite a while since he sent the map, so instead of having you scroll forever.
It's okay. I can just live in the dark. I don't have to send it to me or anything.
You getting it, Darkness?
Yeah, it just takes a bit.
Okay. Anyways, did you have anything else about that theory, or is it just that it's coming because of the ash mounts and rivers?
It has to do with either one of them, bro.
Here's the 2 maps. Or 3 maps. One's also Luthadel. We weren't really... But yeah. The first 2 maps were the 2 that we were referring to.
Where are the ash mounds?
So the first one, it lists everything. So it's numbers 9 through 15 are ash mounts, and technically 16 in the middle of the lake, there's also an ash mount. And then if you look at the main map of the Final Empire, you can see them. They all have names.
Okay.
So yeah, so they do kind of make a circle in the kind of like in the middle. They kind of make a donut with like the outer ring of the donut being the border of the Final Empire, and then the middle, the center ring being the like ash mounts. But yeah, so Mythic, do you have any theories about why the mists are moving from the outer dominances inward? That darkness is
They're moving from the Well of Ascension. That's all I have.
They're coming for the well.
That's what I was thinking too at
Yeah.
first.
They're coming
But
for
then that's why I
power
asked.
of the Well of Ascension.
Yeah, that's why I asked where exactly on the edges started. But
Yeah, so it's coming from everywhere on the edges, as far as we know. So yeah, so we also get a... Oh, yeah, so this is something I want to know. So we get a brief mention of Breeze asking Sazed not to call him Lord Ladrian, and Sazed apologizing as he's used to calling people by their full names. So this is a note that Brandon didn't really get to put in the trilogy. They didn't really get to go into Breeze's backstory, but he's made a note of it, and I thought I'd let you guys know. So basically, Sazed is calling Breeze Lord Ladrian because Breeze is actually pretending to be half Ska, and he's actually a full nobleman. So he's technically a lesser nobleman, which is why no one's kind of like recognized him or gone looking for him. I don't think it's ever said where he's from. I'm assuming somewhere not near Luthadel. But his full name is Edgard Ladrian. And yeah, he's a full-blooded nobleman who came to the underground for whatever reason and has been living pretending to be a half Ska. And I believe that none of the crew know about that except for maybe Sazed, because apparently he accidentally, like when he first started in the underground, he did use the name Ladrian and then stopped and started using the name Breeze. And so there's very few people who know of it, and I think it's not been confirmed, but it's pretty much everyone assumes that Kelsier definitely did not know, because he probably would not have been too happy with Breeze if he knew he was a full nobleman. That's why Breeze is so happy being wearing nobleman suits, and he likes his wine, and he's a nobleman.
Breezy's one of a kind, huh?
So yeah.
Poor Breezy.
So I don't think I think Sazed might be potentially the only person on the crew who knows. So yeah, that was just a little bit of Breeze information that I thought interesting to add in, since it doesn't really come up in any of the books. And this was kind of a good place to mention it. So suddenly Elarian shows up, asking what is happening as she heard voices. She wasn't in her sleeping clothes, but her hair was disheveled. Once the group breaks up for the night, Vin mentions to Ellen that she doesn't trust Elarian, and Ellen agrees that she appeared to have seemed right out of bed intentionally. So, why do you think Elarian was spying on their meeting?
Because she's the fucking thing.
You think she's the Khandra?
No, I don't.
I genuinely thought that.
I think it's a red herring. I think it's a red herring.
I mean, she doesn't have to be a Khandra to potentially be a spy. I mean, she is the daughter of one of the guys coming to attack.
Still think it's a red herring. But...
Do you have anything else to add there, Darkness?
Not really. I mean, at first I thought she was the thing.
The Khandra.
What's it called? Yeah, the Conjure. Yeah, but then like right later on, like when they were on the ride to the store or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, nah, no way.
So Vin then says she's going back out into the night and quickly gives Ellen a kiss. We then switch to Say's point of view as he is led up to some guest chambers. He finds himself doubting himself about the mist as he had not seen the mist kill anyone himself. Inside the room, he is surprised to find Tindwyl. He notes that she responded to his request, and she replies that he ignored hers. Sayson mentions that Elend is a good man, and Tindwyl responds that good men can make terrible kings. Sayes replies that bad men cannot make good kings, so it's better to start with a good man and work on everything else. Sayes notes that most see Tindwyl as cold, but he thinks that he finds it amazing how confident she is despite what she went through. So what do you think it is that Tindwyl went through?
I was originally thinking it was going to be like the whatever the fuck that shit's called, where they lost, where he became where what's his name became a eunuch.
The breeding programs?
Yeah, like whatever that happens there kind of idea. But
yeah, we don't really know what happens to women. All we know is what happens to men, because we know Sayst.
They get bread. That's what happens to women.
What kind of bread though? Sourdough, white.
I already knew you were gonna use that comment. Fucking ridiculous.
So you think she had to like have a bunch of kids and stuff?
Endure.
Yeah. Is that what you think happened to Darkness, or do you think there's something else?
I think they did the thing where you just like, kind of technically disfigure them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I wouldn't be surprised if they end up using them for pleasure or whatever, but
They end up using what?
for their own needs. So
Tindwyl notes.
I don't know, man. I'm sorry, but like this book has me thinking like a bunch of dark shit.
I know. Yeah, it's
a dark book.
Yep. So Tindwyl notes that Say should be doing his duties in the Eastern Dominance near the Burnlands. Say says he was, but now he's here. He says he'll go back to that once his greater duties are dealt with, and Tindwyl says he's still investigating this foolishness with the mists. She asks how a man that exemplifies the terrorists so well could defy the Synod like this. Say states that the last time he went against the Synod, he freed their people and helped with the collapse of the final empire, and if he is wrong, then he's wrong about this. Tindwyl frowns, says Say should be one of their most respected, not a rebel. She takes Say's hand and looks into his eyes, but he pulls his hand away and she leaves. So do you think Tindwyl will eventually accept that Say's just doing good here, or will she always think that he should be doing his duties instead?
Duties instead.
I mean, I like the fact that he's doing his own thing, but technically it's still his duty, but technically not,
Says that rebel Sayst.
Yep.
Just real out there, guy.
With all his piercings and stuff,
Mm-hmm. I love Sayst. So the next epigraph for chapter 24 is, he commanded kings, and though he sought no empire, he became greater than all who had come before. So yeah, what do you think this could represent? Any thoughts on this epigraph?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
Darkness going in deep on these epigraphs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, I'm gonna be completely shattered if my expectations of who I believe it can be now is just completely unrelated, because what he technically is going through right now is also what quote unquote someone very important is going through right now,
What do you mean?
Elend, I think it's Elend.
You think Elend's the hero of ages?
Yeah, 100%. But I agree with you on that. So.
See.
Mm-hmm. That it works out very well and very oddly.
Yeah, it connects too well, which is why I'm like, I'm gonna get heartbroken at the end of this.
Mythic, did you have any comments about that epigraph?
I mean, my comment was pretty much the same as
Darkness
is going to be.
So we start with Finn's point of view for this chapter. She wonders if the Mist Spirit is responsible for the mist deaths. She notes that she can hear with her bronze the Mist Spirit watching nearby, and she can also hear the distant thumping. Finn pulls out a note from Elendi's logbook that mentions the drumming sound that Finn also hears. She had gotten another Allomancer to burn bronze, but they've been unable to hear the sound. Finn worries about the fact that only she and a man long dead could hear this rhythm. Why do you think others cannot hear the thumping in the distance?
Repeat the question?
The question was, why do you think no one but Vin can hear this thumping sound? And apparently a guy who's dead.
I mean, a guy who's dead can't hear it anymore, so...
Well, why do you think he heard it and then Vin seems to be the only one nowadays who can hear it?
I think it's because they had a strong level of... Maybe that dude had a strong level of Allomancy and he just didn't know it because he never got to, do whatever it is to activate it,
So we switch to Zane's... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but if he is an Allomancer and he just didn't know it at the time, I think that's completely coincidence to the fact that he would be the quote unquote hero of ages. So like unrelated.
So why do you think then? So you think them being able to hear the thumping is unrelated to being a hero of ages then?
Possibly, I think so now. I think it's more of the fact that they're strong enough to sense the origin of Elemency itself.
You have any other thoughts, Mythic?
Nope, not really. Like, thumping sounds, it's hard to fucking think of what it could be. I mean, aside from her maybe being, if she was, like, because I'm kind of on that same boat now as Darkness, that they all seem to be pointing a lot more towards Ellen than anybody else. Especially with what happened later in these chapters. So
Yeah, we'll get to, we'll get to a few things. So we switch to Zane's point of view as he waits at Keep Hasting where his last fight with Vin had been. He had waited here for several nights with no sign of Vin. He worries that he'll eventually be ordered to kill her, foreshadowing, and that he is growing reluctant to do so. He's also worried he may not be able to beat her. Zane wonders if Vin will be the one to be able to give him a reason to finally leave. He puts this needing a reason to his insanity, but knows deep down that he needs someone to rely on, and currently he only has Straff. So do you think Vin will try to help Zane at some point?
yes, I think they're going to team up. I don't want them to, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's extremely stupid that they're going to do it, but I know they're going to do it.
So he eventually goes off to find Vin, keeping watch over Ellen, who's keeping watch over Ellen to Keep Venture. He goes around out of her to enhance senses before starting to walk forward. As per usual, she senses him when she shouldn't and jumps. We go back to Vin's point of view, and Zane tells her he's been waiting at Keep Hasting, and she says she hasn't been in the mood for sparring. She and Oris are both tense as he walks forward and glances down at Ellen's balcony. Zane asks why Vin is worried about Ellen when he uses her, and Vin replies that Ellen doesn't use her. Zane then asks if Vin ever wished for the power to kill men who brutalized her as a child, and Vin said of course she did, but she had grown as a person. Zane replies that the thoughts of a child's instincts are usually the most honest and natural. Do you agree that Vin should be doing what she would have done as a kid instead of thinking more about things more, I guess, complexly?
Say that again?
I haven't worded this well. Basically, like, so Zane's basically saying, like, why don't you just, like, do whatever the hell you want with your powers, like you would have if you had known about them as a kid, instead of, like, just protecting Ellen and, like, being hesitant to just use them outright. So, like, do you think he's correct, or do you think Vin's more correct that she should be, like, things are complicated as an adult, and, like, you can't just go around, like, doing whatever the fuck you want. Like, there's things that, like, matter more than just, like, selfishly doing whatever.
No. Zane has that traumatized childhood mentality, but Vin has that on a level of like, I kind of moved on because I got to deal with what's happening now.
Yeah. She's also,
So
unlike Zane, been shown that there's like actual people who can care about her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think he needs a hobby. That's what it is.
Uh-huh. Hobbies.
A hobby other than stalking Vin.
It's a pretty good hobby, so I don't know.
Did you have any thoughts there, Mythic?
Because, I mean, I agree, he needs a hobby.
Yeah, okay. So Zane turns his back to Vin, and Vin drops a coin to see if he trusts her, which she notes he doesn't, as he quickly glances back for a moment. Zane then asks what Vin would do if using her powers had no constraints or repercussions. She says she doesn't know, although she thinks that she would go north to the thumping. When Zane seems disappointed with her answer, she replies that she would take down the armies and protect Ellen, but that she can't in reality because the armies would attack, and right now diplomacy may still work. Zane then asks what will happen when Ellen asks her to kill someone. He says Vin is Ellen's toy, just as he is also a toy to Straff. He states that neither of them can break free alone. Then Zane then states that they forget the value of coins because they become tools to them. He then leaves, and Vin notes that she wants him around because she doesn't get to talk to other Mistborn besides him. She lets him go, though, because of the fact that she wants him to stay. So what did you think about that overall interaction between Zane and Vin?
Oh, Ellen needs to find a new girl because he's about to steal her.
I knew that what he said was gonna bite her in the ass as soon as possible. There, that pissed me off so much.
I don't think I actually bring it up later, but I'm kind of curious. Do you think he's like trying to manipulate her on purpose, or is he just so fucked up that he's like honestly like, you can trust no one except another Mistborn. We're the only two people who are alike. They're just using. Like, do you think he really thinks this way?
Fucked up.
He's just
like,
that fucked up.
He's literally hearing a voice.
It's true. He hears God telling him to kill everyone. I'm surprised God wasn't telling him to kill Vin there in his brief point of view.
I wonder why.
Any thoughts there, Mythic, on their relationship?
Kill.
Kill.
Kill Vin. Kill her.
Kill Ellen, kill Vin, kill everyone, kill yourself.
Well, I don't think God wants him to kill himself, because then he doesn't have anybody to kill. I don't think the evil god that is in his head, I do not believe wants him to die. He needs him to do his bidding.
So next we have chapter 25's epigraph, which is, he fathered no children, yet all of the land became his progeny.
Once again, Ellen.
So no kids for Vin and Ellen then, I guess?
For now.
Just for now. After he becomes the hero of ages, he's allowed children, but not until
Actually,
after.
That made me think, like, I'm not sure if, was it that everyone who has allomancy, the theory that they had, was that everyone who has allomancy derived from who was posing as, well, who was the Lord ruler?
No, so I believe the stories were like there's no, they don't know for sure because they don't know what happened at the well, but the stories that were passed down was that the Lord Ruler blessed his allies with allomancy and all of their children and like generations down.
Well, really, that's
with
not what
allomancy.
happened, and something else happened. We'll figure that out later.
I mean, we don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he found a way to bless them with allomancy.
Yeah, maybe he went to the Well of Ascension and got like 7 wishes or some shit.
1, I wish to rule the world.
2, I wish that the ash wouldn't kill us and make us suffocate. 3, I wish that fucking, I don't know, the mist wouldn't come back unless I die.
4, I wish that these people have allomancy.
Well.
But yeah, so this chapter, Vin wakes up to Orisur giving a quiet bark, and she quickly goes for a vial of metals and her obsidian daggers. However, it's just Tyndall who states that she wants to take Vin shopping. She tells Vin to bathe and change, when she learns that Vin has no servants that help her. Vin says she doesn't take orders, but Tyndall asks if she intends to meet Straff in a shirt and trousers, causing Vin to hesitate. Once Tyndall leaves, Vin thanks Orisur for the warning. As Finn goes downstairs to meet Tyndall, she hears Alrian speaking to her about not wanting to live in borrowed gowns. As she gets into sight of them, she also sees Spook looking sullen. When Vin speaks up, Tyndall explains that Alrian will know current fashions, and Spook is here as a Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, Spook.
So Vin asks how Spook got dragged into this, and he said he was up early sneaking food when she found him. Vin then tells him that they are still at war and to keep an eye out. Spook burns tin, allowing Vin to know he isn't the Khandra. Are you glad to hear that Spook isn't the Khandra?
Yeah.
Spook's still alive! It's the real Spook.
Oh.
You're gonna say something in the darkness?
For now.
For now.
He's still alive for now. Well, I still believe he's gonna lose his fucking eyesight or his hearing or some
one of his
sense.
senses.
Yeah,
I
because
think he's gonna lose his bones now that he showed up that, he can use allomancy.
Everyone's gonna become a Khandra one by one. After she clears them, they become a Khandra.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no, think about it. What better way to hide yourself from somebody who already proved their innocence?
It's true.
but Conjure can't kill people, so who's
Well, they got
killing?
the bones somehow.
Who's killing Allomancers?
I mean, we find out later that he works with Zane, whoever the
Yep.
spy is, so maybe Zane's killing them.
Mm-hmm.
So once in the carriage, Alrian begins trying to get Vin into a conversation. She asks if the rumors about Vin are true, such as her killing the Lord Ruler and being rickety and dangerous. Vin wonders if Alrian is trying to provoke her. Alrian then asks Vin if she grew up far from court, and Vin replies that she is a Ska, not noble. Alrian calls Vin a poor thing, and Vin, with her tin-enhanced ears, can hear Orisur give a very quiet chuckle. Alrian then mentions that Breeze told her he was also half Ska, which I have told you guys is not true, so he's even lying to Alrian. So what did you think of Alrian's thoughts on Vin?
At first, when she was like, "You poor thing," I cracked up there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I was like, I like
poor little
like her.
poor Vin.
I
Little
like her.
Ska.
In my head, and I know Vin wants to fucking kill this bitch.
Nah, I like her. I think she's awesome.
God, I hate Alrian.
I really don't mind her.
How do you? She just pissed. Like literally from the first sentence I saw her on the page, I was like, I hate this bitch.
I think it's you trying to project what you internally are without like.
Yeah, she's definitely Alrian. Mm-hmm.
Ew, I am not.
Yep. Definitely her.
No.
Mm-hmm. A little prissy,
Ew.
pink-dressed woman, you know.
Ew. Once they get to Kenton Street, Vin hops out of the carriage with Orisur. She notes food is going for a premium and worries about the food stores through the winter for Luthadel. The others also get out of the carriage, and Tyndall points out a dress shop, which Alrian hurries off to with Spook following her. And I think it's also mentioned here that Spook will go after anything that smells sweet and has boobs, but the bathing thing is not necessary. So yeah, he's I guess a regular teenage boy.
Sounds like
honestly same.
Do they even have to have boobs though for you, Darkness?
You see, that's the thing. If they have, and they're like either gender, like I'm all done.
Darkness wants everything. Everything or either.
Sounds good to me. All right, come on, let's go, Darkness.
If they pop up, I'm just gonna be like, yes.
So Vin and Tin will then speak about Orianne a bit, and Tyndall tells Vin not to judge Orianne too harshly since she is a product of her upbringing. Vin then says she likes when people judge her as it makes people underestimate her. Tyndall then mentions that Vin's friends had said Vin stopped wearing dresses a few months after the collapse, and that they had thought Vin had enjoyed dressing more feminine. Vin says they were right, but that she can't be the person who wears dresses, she needs to be harder. So do you think it's wrong of Vin to judge Orianne based on her upbringing, or do you think considering Orianne's age that is like, nah, she can be judged because she is like, I don't know, it's her personality.
I think it's just her, bro. Like,
Yep.
What can she do about it?
So Tinwell then asks why Vin won't marry Elend, and Vin replies that Elend should be marrying someone more like Alrianne, not like herself. That Elend fell in love with her when she was pretending to be more like Alrianne. Vin says that people are more complicated, and asks if Elend had left Vin when she stopped pretending to be a noblewoman, and Vin says no. Vin asks if Tinwell is just trying to turn her into a queen for Elend, and Tinwell says she just wants Vin to be who she is. So what did you think of Tinwell and Vin's discussion on her potential marriage to Elend?
I mean, I agree with her. Vin needs to marry his ass.
I think what's her name? Fucking Tumble over here is a fucking gaslighter, bro.
What do you mean she's a gaslighter?
Like she'd be manipulating people in all fucking sorts of ways.
Oh my gosh. So Vin then goes into the dress shop and tries on a blue gown with white lace. She thinks that she and Ellen never got to dance at any of the balls, he had always wiggled out of it. The dressmaker and Tinwell compliment Vin on how gracefully she moves in the dress. Vin then goes over to Tinwell and asks why she's being so nice to her but is mean to Elend. Tinwell replies that Ellen grew up as a pampered nobleman, while Vin has likely gone through enough harshness in her life. The dressmaker then comes back to discuss alterations with Tinwell. When the dressmaker finds out who Vin is, he seems worried he offended her, but she insists he didn't. Spook then comes over and says they've been found by the people. Vin begins trying to think of a way to get away, but Tinwell suggests she goes out to talk to them. Alrianne says Vin has a mysterious reputation because she hides and doesn't go out normally. She also apologizes. She also apologizes for sounding a bit rude when she says Vin is more ordinary than people think. Vin, which is like one of the few lines where I'm like, oh, she seems kind of genuinely nice there. She's like, oh shit, that sounded kind of rude, didn't it? Vin says she doesn't want to be worshipped, and Tinwell replies that she doesn't get a choice. So do you agree that Vin needs to stop hiding from the people who worship her?
Yes.
Yeah, otherwise Sasha's gonna be queen.
Exactly.
So Orianne takes Vin's arm and they go outside. Orisar is waiting by the door. Orianne hesitates when she sees how big the crowd is. Vin slips her arm away from Orianne and soothes the crowd a bit as she steps forward. She thought the Church of the Survivor was small, but this crowd was quite large. An older man asks what will become of them, and Vin says they'll be okay and can outlast the siege. Some of the people start to question if Elend will give over the city to his father, and Vin tells them that he won't. When they continue to get upset, she shouts at them to stop and pushes on their mettle slightly. She insists that nothing bad will be said of the king, as he is a good man and a good leader. One of the people says they're frightened, and Vin replies that Elend and her will protect them. Once the crowd disperses, Vin says to Tinwell that she lied, but Tinwell says she was just being optimistic. So who do you agree with? Do you agree that Vin shouldn't be lying and that she kind of lied to them, or do you agree with Tinwell that she was just trying to be optimistic and give them hope?
Optimistic.
Yeah, I was on and off about this part
Mm-hmm.
because of my earlier thoughts on Killsiri's plan, with the army or whatever. But like, they're gonna die anyway, so
Yeah, everybody dies.
yeah.
So Tinwell then goes to Alrianne to finish her fitting as Vin hears war drums as she hurries to change out of the dress she was wearing. We switch to Elend's point of view as he on the walls of Luthadel. The men are on the wall. The men on the wall are in chaos, and Elend sees thousands of Strathsmen rushing Tin Gate, where Elend was currently at, as well as others going towards Pewter Gate. Elend doesn't understand why Strath is attacking. Arrows and coins, meaning Strath has Allomancers below, flew up towards the men on the wall. down below there are also men with a battering ram being protected by men with shields, and Ellen assumes the men with the battering ram are thugs. Hooks are pushed upwards onto the wall by the Allomancers below, and Ellen can hear the thugs battering against Tin Gate. Suddenly Vin was there, pushing away arrows and coins so that men on the wall could unlatch the hooks that had been thrown up. Clubs shouts for Vin to wait suddenly, and as he does, Ellen notices Straff army retreating. Clubs tells them that it was just a test. Ellen notes that they likely failed the test, and Clubs says they did much worse than they should have. Ellen then thinks that this is a way for Straff to tell Ellen he can take the city at any time. So what did you think about the test that Straff did against them?
Militarily, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was smart, but I also think hella backfired, and it will, but an overconfidence issue.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be overconfident. That's for sure.
I mean, it's Straff we're talking about. He thinks he's better than everyone.
Which he is, but
No, he's not.
So chapter 26's epigraph. He was forced into war by a misunderstanding, and always claimed he was no warrior, yet he came to fight as well as any man. Who do you think will be forced into war by misunderstanding?
Ellen.
Everything still fits Ellen?
Yep.
Which means it's not Ellen, but whatever.
That's what yep.
That's
why I was like, I'm sorry, but at that point, that's why I was like, I'm nervous. It's not gonna be Ellen, but
It's not gonna be Ellen. It's really not. It's just not gonna be Ellen. I just don't have any reason for it to be anybody else.
Ellen's gonna be the Elendi though, and then Vin's gonna be the Lord Ruler.
Oh, Vin's gonna be Rashek. But wasn't Spook the Pac-Man carrying around the dresses? Spook will be Rashek.
No, Spook will be the one that gets stabbed.
Oh, he's gonna be the one who's like, ooh, Metal Lake.
Damn it. Slash your eyes out.
So we start with Vin unpacking her dress as Oriser tells her that he thinks this is a bad idea. Oriser mentions the wall attack, and Vin says it was just a test. Although she thinks about how it had caused a lot of chaos in the city, and the assembly was quite upset. Then Oriser mentions that aside from the attack, he had studied noblemen when becoming Lord Renault, and Straff was particularly harsh. Vin thinks that Oriser's argument is logical, but she was coming to agree with Ellen's decision to go meet with Straff in his camp. Straff had to see them as weak to feel like he's winning. So were you surprised that Oriser kind of gave his opinion here? Because usually he's like, do you want my opinion? I can agree with your opinions. He's usually kind of more sassy about it than just openly giving opinions.
What exactly did he say again? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was asking what exactly did he say again?
Well, he said that going to Straff's camp was a bad idea, and that he knew of Straff and how harsh he was because of his time studying nobles as Lord Renault. So he kind of unprompted was like, this is a bad idea.
No. The thing with him though is that my opinion of him keeps going up and down because I keep getting suspicious.
Suspicious of what?
I'm waiting for that moment where he strikes back,
Oh yeah.
Like me too.
What were you gonna say, Mythic?
I don't even remember.
Did you have any thoughts about Oriser giving an opinion?
Remember. But I mean, honestly, I believe he's right. So stupid to go there.
I mean, they didn't die. We find out.
Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So Vin then finishes getting dressed, and she moves and jumps a bit in the dress. She notes it is much lighter than a normal dress. She asks Oriser what he thinks, and he says it's nice, but that dresses like that are a bit ridiculous. Vin says he thinks that because he's a male Khandra, and he asks how she can tell, since gender is hard to tell when their forms are fluid, and Vin replies that she can tell. So do you agree that it's obvious Oriser is male? Whether that's...
No.
I really don't think it should be.
I was gonna say, do you think it's, when she says male, are Khandra actually male or female, or is it more of a gender identity? What they?
I think it's fluid. I think all gender is fluid, but it's fluid.
So you think it's more of what they kind of feel represents them more than they actually have actual sexes?
I don't think they have a gender.
Vin then puts on a sapphire bracelet and some hair clips that are made of wood instead of metal. The only metal in her is some vials and the one earring that Kelsier had told her to keep in case of emergencies. Oriser then notes a piece of paper that fell in the dress box. Oh, sorry, did you say something?
No, sorry, I was yawning.
Oh, okay. Vin reads it and mentions places to hide daggers and metal vials. Oriser then asks when they're leaving, and Vin mentions leaving him behind and is disappointed when he doesn't object. Do you think Oriser is disappointed he's not going?
Yes.
Yeah, because technically he wouldn't be fulfilling his his little contract shit.
I
He's
think he
getting
also, I think he also likes Vin, like as a friend kind of idea.
You think he's
well,
warmed
yeah,
up to her?
Yep.
it's her future bones. You know.
He's like I really like this person. I can't wait till I become her one day.
Yeah. Just think about it. She pulls a Kelsey.
Oh my gosh. So we switch to Ellen's point of view as he talks with Ham. Ham wants to pretend to be a coachman who brings Ellen and Vin, but Ellen states he doesn't want to worry about another person if things go wrong, and that Ham by himself won't make a big difference compared to the huge army that they'll be surrounded by. Ellen then asks...
I think Ham would make a difference.
I don't know, I think if things went wrong, they would all just die.
I think Ham could take on the entire army by himself.
I don't think he could.
Yeah, I think Ham's the fucking badass.
Think about it. Like, what if they're really, really hungry?
Oh my we're moving on. Ellen then asks for Ham to call him Ellen instead of Elle, which Ham is fine by. He notes it isn't your majesty like Tinwell wants, but it's better than a nickname. Dachshund then comes in with a note from the assembly, who are upset that he's going to be missing a meeting tonight, which I forgot to write it down, but I think they changed the night of the meeting, which is why he's like, they can't be mad if they changed the meeting night.
Yeah, they did it one day earlier.
Yeah, which I wonder why they did it while he was gone. So then Vin comes out in a dress, and Ham says he had expected Vin to go meet Straff in a shirt and trousers. Ellen then calls Vin gorgeous and tries to kiss her, but Vin stops him because he'll mess up her makeup. So do you think, considering what we know about what happens at the assembly, do you think Ellen should have maybe had a proxy or someone at the assembly in his stead?
Yeah.
You think there should have been something you think there should have been something in the laws that say you can appoint someone to vote in your place and represent you if you can't make it?
Honestly, I completely forgot proxies were a thing. So I was like, you know what? If you're gonna make it, that's the only issue.
So we skip to Ellen and Vin in Straff's carriage, leaving Lucidel and going towards Straff's camp. Ellen thinks about how since the collapse, Straff has made the most stable empire. He notes that his father knows how to get what he wants. Vin then notes that Ellen looks worried, but he says he isn't because Vin is worth an army. He then gestures for Vin to come over to him, which she does, but tells him not to mess up her hair or makeup. He then says the dress looks good on her, but Vin says that the dress is a lie. Ellen says different clothing also makes him feel different, and he says if wearing dresses feels wrong to her, then he's fine with that. Vin then gives him a kiss and says she's allowed to because Mistborn are more precise. Ellen then mentions that everyone expects a king when he wears the clothing Tinwell got him. Vin says everyone expects a lady when she wears dresses and is disappointed when they find just her. Ellen says anyone who is disappointed in Vin are too dense to be relevant. I don't know. It's a sweet moment.
No, I think it was Vin showing her dumb side.
What?
Yeah, she's like, no, you can't kiss me. I'll kiss you.
Oh my gosh.
Dominant motherfucker. Ooh.
Next thing you know, there's gonna be chains involved, the little elements here and there.
Gosh.
Anyway.
Ellen then says that she should wear what she likes and that clothing just gets different reactions from people, and it's about accepting those reactions and being confident in yourself while wearing them, no matter what people expect of you. They then switch to talking about Straff, and Ellen mentions that his father likes brothels, and he likely enjoys the power of knowing the Ska girls will get killed because of his passion. Lovely. He also mentions that he keeps several dozen mistresses from the lesser nobility who get removed if they displease him. So what do you think about Ellen's views on Straff? This is how he describes his father.
Pretty much how it is.
Perfect father.
He's the best father we've had so far.
I know, right? He's definitely father of the year, right, guys?
And he even came back for his son.
Oh gosh.
And
Vin.
Obviously, he cares about his son. So.
Vin says she has known crew leaders like that, and she would usually act unimportant around them, never giving them reason to challenge her. She tells Ellen to act like Straff is bullying him into things, as he will like that. As they get into the war camp, Vin points out an obligator. Ellen thinks that that is how Straff is administering the army because he doesn't think Straff would know how to do it himself. Ellen mentions that Straff likely likes powerful tools like Khandra and Allomancers and apparently obligators. So once the carriage stops, Vin and Ellen meet with Straff. Straff says Ellen was stupid for coming and he could kill him easily. Ellen replies that Straff could have taken the city and killed him months ago. Straff hesitates and Ellen says they came to eat dinner and discuss things that will be important to Straff. So Straff orders a servant to tell the chef there'll be 3 of them for dinner, and then he then asks about Vin and says to tell Vin to stop soothing him. They go inside and sit down, and Ska servants in ragged clothing and bruises bring in the dining table. Straff makes a comment. Yep. Straff makes a comment about not letting a Ska like Vin wear a dress like hers, and it's kind of implied that he's like, I wouldn't let you wear anything. So when you first read this, did you realize Vin was caught soothing on purpose?
No. I
I
first
think he
read
was.
it. No.
I think he was. Oh well, I thought he was just that good at sensing it.
But no, she apparently got caught on purpose to seem like weak and easily caught. So Ellen thinks that Breeze had told him that Vin was quite good at soothing, so he assumes that Vin had wanted Straff to feel her soothing him. He can tell Straff easily dismisses Vin now, even though he must have been told that she was quite dangerous. Straff then calls for someone to get Hosel, before asking why Ellen is here. Ellen says he is here for an alliance, but Straff says he doesn't need an alliance and that Set is of little concern. Ellen insists they attack first before he gives over his walls to Straff, and Straff asks why Ellen is so eager. Ellen says that he wants to prove that he wasn't a complete buffoon by making an allied attack against Set before handing over the city. However, Straff does not go for this. So did you think that Ellen's attempt here was a good plan?
Wait, he made an attempt?
Yeah, he made an attempt to
I wouldn't
like...
have noticed.
Yeah, I didn't notice either.
Okay. Ellen tries to bring up the ATM next, saying he didn't want to spend it as it would just bring sharks and also it would go against the rumors they had created that they didn't have it. Roselle then enters. She is around 15 and is wearing a low-cut dress, implying her relationship with Straff. She also has some similar features as Vin, a statement to Ellen saying he can get one just like Vin, but younger and prettier. So what did you think of Straff bringing in Hosel?
They should have put Orser.
They should have named her Horzel.
Oh god.
Damn.
They should have gotten
I
Orser
wanted to say that all fucking week.
and like sucked Ellen's bones dry or whatever, and then send Orser
Oh, they
instead.
send. Oh, they
Send
want you want
Orser
to
as
suck
Ellen.
You want to
Yeah.
suck his bones?
Oh god.
Yeah, but like,
I knew the VU changed you.
anyway, we don't talk about that line of work.
Uh,
So I'm pretty sure that would have been so much better, a husband she can mold, somebody good at politics,
mm-hmm.
Good at
a
what?
real king.
Hey, good at what?
Politics.
A politics? You sure it's
Politics?
not, yeah, you sure that's politics?
Oh, excuse me, I have an accent considering that I speak a different language, but okay.
So Straff then says he wants the ATM first, and Vin speaks up, saying they don't have it. Ellen trusts her instincts and lets her speak. He thinks that he needs to act weak and states that Vin doesn't know what she is talking about and that they do have the ATM. Straff states that they really have nothing to offer before sending off Hosel and telling Vin to leave the tent as well. Vin glances at Ellen for confirmation before stating she'll wait right outside the tent. And then we get our final epigraph, which is, he was no simple soldier. He was a force of leadership, a man that fate itself seemed to support. Still, Ellen?
What was it again? Sorry.
He was no simple soldier. He was a force of leadership, a man that fate itself seemed to support.
Still Ellen.
Do you have a second place idea? I wasn't sure you guys would be so confident. I was expecting more discussion around the epigraphs.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I know who else it could be.
Who?
It could be your friend.
My friend.
Mm-hmm. The one you love so much.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's her. It's definitely her.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely who I want it to be.
Figured as much.
It's definitely Straff Venture. That's who the hero of ages is.
I think it's Straff? Wow.
It's definitely Straff.
Damn.
I think it's Nightblood.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's a good idea. I think that too. That's fine.
I agree. It's definitely Nightblood. Oops, I gave it away. Oh no, I spoiled it.
I mean, you spoiled other stuff, like,
Yeah.
Electrum.
I didn't mean to! I literally thought that was the name of the medal!
Mm-hmm. Sure you did.
Anyways, so we have Ellen's point of view as he and Straff speak in private over dinner. Straff says he is close to having Ellen killed, and Ellen states that Straff would gain nothing from that as he'd have to take down Set on his own. Straff, however, says Ellen is wrong. As the next leader of Luthadel, he would be more accommodating as he has interest in the city, plus Set and him have a treaty already. They had agreed to split what is in Luthadel, and then he gets the east and south, while Set gets the west and north. Were you surprised that Set and Straff had already made a treaty?
At all. Also, don't believe it, so...
Yeah, I didn't believe it when he first mentioned it. I was like, he's bluffing.
Mm-hmm.
So Ellen then brings up the Koloss army, which makes Straff pause. Ellen tries to insist on letting him fight Set again, but Straff refuses. He says he'll take his chance with Set. Straff says that if he hadn't left a year ago, it would be him on the throne, not Ellen, and that Ellen isn't leaving his camp tonight. Do you think Straff would really have been able to take the throne if he had stayed?
Nope. Not at all. Honestly, don't think he would have fucking lived.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think
there
he
would
would
have
have
been enough
died.
Ska angry at him, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Also, I know this was like we already kind of talked about this.
Mhm.
The more I listen to this again, the more I think that even if there are things fighting against this theory, that fucking rainy bitch or whatever her name is.
Tindra?
No, the fucking weather bitch.
Alrian?
There you go. Is it? Yeah.
I mean,
All rain.
her dad has technically the name Ashweather. He's technically
Okay,
the
they're
Yeah,
all
person.
weather
but
based.
they're all weather based. Yeah, all rain.
I think that could be a conjure, like the conjure that we're talking about.
Alrian?
Yeah, because let's say that they did quote unquote have this like alliance, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's not an alliance and he like, has this like power over him because of quote unquote the daughter he has? Maybe that, but I was more focused on the fact that why would he bring his daughter into the war, right?
Yeah.
Like onto the battlefield. Other than for her to either be a spy and conjure based or she's already conjured at that point.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's either like heavy spy or conjure. She's my second choice, as like you had asked for it before.
So Ellen, I read that part. So Ellen
Really,
then brings
you
up the.
lost where we were. Yeah, I said you lost where we were.
I did. So Ellen tries to insist on letting him fight Set again, but said, I read that. Straff says he hadn't left. Oh yeah, here we go. So Straff then says that Ellen had impressed him and that he will let him live, but Ellen is to hand over Luthadel without fighting Set. They will go to the city together tomorrow, and Straff will take control of the city, and if Ellen stays in line, he'll be named heir again. Ellen says they can't do that as the guards won't let Straff in, as they'll think Ellen is being forced to let Straff inside. He needs to attack Set first, but Straff gets upset and calls Ellen to smooth talk her. He says Ellen will die and he'll take the city by force. Ellen says Set will just attack him from behind, but Straff says he has to take that chance and the Ska were supposed to kill Ellen. So were you surprised by the sudden turn like that?
I, I'm gonna be honest. I did not like this part at all. Like specifically because this could turn on all ways. Like their own arguments could be used against them, and I'm just like, okay. So y'all just chilling, trying to throw each other, ideas when it can backfire so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was never big into this stuff, so but the next chapter, you know,
I mean, this is the last chapter we did.
I mean the last chapter,
I believe he means the previous. You mean the previous chapter?
yeah,
Or yeah,
yeah,
okay.
like the last chapter we read,
Mm-hmm.
not the last one before this. English,
Previous.
the last one.
I see. So we so we switched to Vin's. Oh wait, I missed a paragraph. So Ellen states that Straff never intended to let him live, and Straff agrees and says he'll take Vin tonight. Ellen then begins laughing and begins insulting Straff, saying that he's disgusting, barely competent, and the Lord Ruler's death is the only thing that saved him in their house. He says that Straff will be a terrible king, and that although the Lord Ruler was a tyrant, he at least was a genius. Straff will die with a knife in the back. Ellen then looks up into Straff's eyes and says, if Straff kills him, he'll die too. So were you surprised by this sudden turn, Ellen? How he suddenly went from being like, no, we need to attack Set, we have to attack Set, to being like, fuck you, Dad, you're a disgusting monster.
What he does next pisses me off with the whole Vin thing.
I think Zane's getting to you too.
No, it's not that I think he's right or like or whatever. No, I just feel like you just shouldn't use somebody's name like that regardless. Especially if they didn't even talk about it beforehand, but whatever.
Mythic, what do you think about Ellen's insulting of Straff?
Needs some work.
So we switched to Vin's point of view outside the tent. When the soldiers had rushed into the tent, Vin had moved around to the north side of the tent to watch the forms inside. She has her daggers ready, but waits as Ellen suddenly seems confident. Inside the tent, Ellen tells Straff that he didn't come here to negotiate, but instead to get Vin into the center of Straff's camp. Straff laughs at that, but Ellen tells him that Vin looked weak on purpose. Vin grins at Ellen's plan and riots Straff's anger. So Straff gasps as Ellen begins to list emotions, and Vin riots or soothes in response. She then extinguishes everything but her brass and uses Duralumin to soothe all of Straff's emotions down. Ellen states that if Straff kills him, Vin will kill Straff. So did you like how Vin used her powers on Straff?
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that she was like, manipulating his ass like that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand her because she liked the fact that it was happening, but she also didn't after, and
I think she
Well,
likes the whole soothing rioting part of it, but she doesn't like it when he's what he says later when he's like, she'll kill you, she'll kill your guards, she'll kill your whole
she'll
army.
kill you. Yeah, I know. I don't know. This whole situation just, shouldn't have happened.
So suddenly Zane appears. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mythic.
no, you're good.
Suddenly Zane appears, and Vin keeps an eye on him while still listening to Straff and Ellen. Ellen tells Straff that he doesn't care if he dies, and he thinks Luthadel can hold out against Set's smaller army. He tells Straff that not only will he die, but his generals and obligators. Zane asks Vin why they always have to be the knives at people's throats. Inside the tent, Straff says he has his own Mistborn, but Ellen asks why he hasn't attacked Vin yet then. Zane says to Vin that she had said Ellen wouldn't treat her like a tool, and Vin replies that Ellen is just bluffing. Vin insists that Ellen isn't using her. Zane asks if Ellen can understand the miss, understand her. Vin replies that Ellen loves her and that he is a good man. Do you think Zane's starting to get to Vin?
Yep.
Do you think what?
Zane is starting to get to Vin, like...
Yeah, for sure. Like, obviously, after, like...
Yeah. So Zane then points at the stars in the sky, and Vin gasps and swears by the Lord Ruler as she sees white scars on Zane's arm. She assumes that Zane was at the pits of Happen, and he just says that he understands her before jumping off into the mist. Inside the tent, Straff tells Ellen to leave. So do you think Zane was actually sent to the pits, or are those just his fucking cutting scars?
His cutting scars. Emo Zane.
He is a bit emo. So we go back to Straff's point of view as the carriage with Ellen and Vin drives away. Straff thinks that no Alamancer could be that powerful, but Zane respects her, and everyone says she killed the Lord Ruler. He notes that the Conjure spy had given him the information about the meeting, and that Ellen's initial plan would likely have worked if the spy hadn't given him that information. So Ellen does know his dad.
Yep. Yep. I guess what I thought was ridiculous.
Yeah, he knows his dad. His dad's overconfident. He would have believed it. So Zane then comes up to Straff, and Straff asks if there had been other Mistborn out there. Zane says no, and that Vin really is that strong. Straff then insists that Zane needs to kill Vin. He says that they have no ATM, but then that Vin has no ATM, but then considers whether he believes that. Zane asks if they'll attack the city, but Straff thinks that he can't attack until Vin is dead. Are you concerned that Straff is so insistent that Vin dies now?
Well,
This
he's
is a
scared
good
of
plan.
us.
Yeah, it's a good plan. It would be the fucking ruin of his reign of terror. So.
I would have gone for her, too, the fuck.
Yeah, I would have gone for it long before this.
Well, again, Straff
Exactly.
doesn't think very highly of women, especially Ska women. He's like, she's
Suddenly,
just like a
Ellen-
little tiny girl that I can force myself onto.
Squash. Oh, yeah,
No,
that's
it was pretty much what Midnight said.
She might be getting a little old for him now, though. I think she is like 18, 19 now.
oh
he
my god.
said mid-20s.
Yeah, I think he said that's pushing it, though, and I think that might only be if, like, they're giving him children. I don't think... Vin's a Ska. He's obviously going to kill her afterwards. He finds power in that, we've learned. So, Zane then comes up to... Zane then says he'll need a strike team of Alamancers for help. He thinks that most people thought that Straff having so many mistresses was just because of his lust, but he'd been gaining an army of Mistings, even though Zane was the only Mistborn. Straff says he'll give him the team, and Zane replies that they might not all survive, but Straff says he doesn't care. Just kill Vin. So first of all, were you surprised that Straff had so many children?
Not at all.
To be fair, they've all been failures, so I can see why.
Ellen's got a whole fucking army of siblings he doesn't know about.
What if they're all the hero beaches?
My other question was, what do you think about the fact that he's so willing to let his children die just to kill Vin?
Oh my god.
I mean, he obviously doesn't care about them as it is, so...
That army of children is the fucking deepness.
You think the army of Mistings is the deepness? Damn.
Yeah.
I think you're too deep in the sauce.
No, don't say that.
You should change your name from darkness to deepness.
Sauceness.
Oh gosh. So Straff then calls for Hoselle, wanting to bed her tonight because she looks like Vin and it makes him feel in control. Which, ew. We then switch to Ellen's point of view, and he's excited that he's alive, and Straff is leaving the city alone for the moment. Ellen tells Vin excitedly that they did it, but Vin just seems quiet. He frowns and says it's all because of her. She says it's because she killed the Lord Ruler, but that everything had been Kelsier's plan and the crew's skills. She just held the knife. He says she's a fantastic allomancer and that no one in the Final Empire is like her. Vin doesn't seem happier about that, and Ellen asks what's wrong. Vin, however, forces a smile and says that Ellen did great against Straff. So yeah, Vin's being a little moody. She's not happy.
Yeah, she's on her period.
I'm so annoyed
Wow.
because communication is key here, and you're not doing it. Like.
Ellen's trying his best, and Vin's not communicating why she's upset. He's like, "Tell me what's wrong, please. I want to know. I'm trying to compliment you."
Isn't that just like a relationship though? Like,
That's why her father left her.
Damn.
yeah, true.
So they get back into the city, and the crew is waiting for them.
I was wondering why Kelsier left her.
Oh God. Ham asks if the plan worked, and Ellen says the initial feint didn't work, but he told his father he would kill him. He says that they overlooked their greatest weapon, Vin, which I'm sure is exactly what Vin wants to hear.
Yeah.
Breeze asks if he really went into the camp of the strongest king in the Final Empire and threatened him, and then says that it was brilliant. Breeze is super impressed. He's like, "God damn, that's awesome, dude." When Ellen notices something is still wrong with Finn, he thinks that she had thought of a better way to handle the situation, but just wasn't saying anything to not spoil his enthusiasm. Spook jokes that he had been looking forward to trying to being king, but it seems they won't need a new one. Breen says... Because, yeah, Spook's definitely next in line to be king, that's for sure.
No, because I actually thought about it, and I was like, I kind of want to see that. I want everyone to speak that Western slang.
Eastern
street slang. Eastern street slang. Yeah.
Breeze then suggests they celebrate back at the castle. They then get in the carriages to go back to Keep Venture, and surprisingly, Dawson gets into the same carriage as Ellen. He hands Ellen a sealed envelope from the assembly and says he doesn't know what it says, but he heard rumors already. Ellen reads the letter, and it states that by unanimous vote, they have disposed him of his position as king due to a no-confidence vote, as they need a different type of leadership in their current situation. So
one that's going to just give up.
Had you expected this from the assembly meeting that he missed?
Yes, 100%.
I knew they were going to post something, but I didn't think they were going to essentially dethrone him.
Essentially? No, there ain't no essentially about it. They're dethroning this motherfucker 100%. I think it's
We
perfect.
don't know yet, because Vin can get us, mad and shit, and then go Hulk smash on their ass or whatever.
I mean, her whole thing is she doesn't want to do that right now.
Yeah, but
she's probably going to.
That won't change anything. He set up a whole government set up this way.
Yeah, he's probably going to tell her not to.
Yeah, he needs to abide by this.
She knows she's going to become the new Lord Ruler, so...
But she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
Nope.
So that was our final chapter, so I have just a couple overview questions. First of all is, what do you think is going to happen now that Elend is no longer king?
He's going to go seek out that fucking Well of Ascension shit, bro. And then he's going to get power, and then he's going to come back. He's going to be like, "Alright, bitches, it's my city again,"
I'm going to go figure... Yeah, he's going to go figure out how to be a king.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about that. But...
And my next question was, what do you think is going to happen with this Koloss army? Because nothing really happened.
They're going to murder everyone.
Nothing really happened this episode with it. They're just kind of sitting a few days away or something by travel.
Murder.
I'm going to be honest, I just put them to the side.
But just forgot about the Koloss.
I didn't forget about them. I figured they would stay there forever. I thought we had settled with they're gonna attack the armies, no?
Well, we're not sure what they're doing yet.
That's what I said. I said they're gonna come in here.
JC's just kind of JC's is just kind of holding them I think it was a few days or a week away from the other two armies. And he's kind of just camped there at the moment. And I don't think he ever told Sage what he was doing. He just said tell Elend that he's gonna do this.
No,
stuff.
I meant theory-wise. That's what we settled on.
Yeah.
My thought is still that they show up and murder everyone in both armies.
But yeah, so then did you guys have any other theories that you wanted to discuss?
Yep, the Koloss are going to become human again someday.
I forgot, but I had an Inquisitor theory.
Oh.
A Steel Inquisitor.
We haven't talked about them in a while. Marsh hasn't shown up in a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can't just let him be, because they're going to be pulling up with the fucking stupidest bullshit ever, but...
Do you think Marsh is going to come back sometime? We are switching parts now. Do you think he's going to come back at some time in part 3?
I think that they do have a big part. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that Marsh is gonna come back, but
You think the
he might.
Inquisitors are going to come back?
Yeah, that's for sure. What if he? What if Vin and Ellen leave? Right, go do that
Mm.
quest, meet up with Marsh or the Inquisitors or whatever, get their own little army going, come back.
You think the Inquisitors would work with them?
I mean, what other choice do they have? What if they learned something? And they're like, you
Mm.
know what? Maybe we should side with them. They're like, Vin is the new Lord Ruler or whatever.
You have any other thoughts, Mythic? I was saying, did you have any other theories, Mythic? In general?
Theories? No.
No. No thoughts on what might happen in part 3?
Yeah, he's gonna become an actual king. I mean, it's called the King, right? The
I was gonna
third part
say,
is called
I was gonna
yeah.
reveal that. I don't think Darkness has read that yet. So yeah, the next part
Wow.
is just called King.
Well, I only know that because like
Yeah, your thing
when
goes. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it goes above or
Yeah,
past it, and then
it's
I'm
hard
like,
to stop the audiobook before.
yeah. I usually wait till it says chapter, blah blah blah, and then I go, oh shit, turn it off.
Yeah. So yeah, part 3, Darkness, is called King. So that could mean Elend, or it could be about whoever is taking Elend's place. We don't know yet. Do you have any idea of who they're going to replace Elend with?
Can you read the next epigraph?
I mean, I can if you want. I mean, I already know it.
We can briefly discuss it if you want to know it for your theories, Darkness.
I just want to know what it says.
It says...
It's not long, is it?
No, it's a short one. It's
Not really. Yeah.
two
Okay, I
sentences.
just want to know what it is. Yeah.
It says, he left ruin in his wake, but it was forgotten. He created kingdoms and then destroyed them as he made the world anew. So it's a more intense one, I feel like, than the other ones. And I think that's actually the last one about the thoughts on the Hero of Ages. It goes back to Quan just like rambling again, I think, after that chapter. Yeah, that's chapter 28's epigraph, and chapter 29 goes back to Quan talking instead of listing things. So that will be all you get for the moment.
Alrighty.
So yeah,
I
so
think
next.
that's all my theories. Yeah.
So next week we will be going through chapters 28. Okay, yeah. So we'll have to figure out, because again we can't do our normal time again next week, but we can discuss that in chat if we're gonna do it like this again, or if we're gonna just skip a week. We can talk about that later. But the next episode will be chapters 28 to 33. That will be our next one.
Yeah.
So yeah. So thank you to everyone who is listening or watching. We really appreciate it, and we have gotten to over 1,000. We've gotten to over 1,000 plays on Spotify. Thank you guys so much, and yeah, bye.
Bye.